What if a coin that looks like an ordinary 25-cent piece could actually be worth much more in the right condition? Welcome back to Old Coins Explorer, where we search for interesting old coins, rare dates, mint marks, errors, and hidden collector value. Today, we are taking a very close look at a 1988 D Washington quarter that was made at the Denver Mint. At first glance, this coin may look like a normal circulated quarter, but there are several important details every collector should understand. The biggest question is not simply whether this is a 1988 quarter, but what the D mint mark, condition, surfaces, and possible varieties can tell us. Some high-grade examples of the 1988 D quarter have brought surprisingly strong prices at auction. However, we must separate those exceptional certified coins from ordinary circulated examples like the one shown here. The coin in our photographs appears to have noticeable circulation wear, so its value is very different from a top-grade mint state specimen. Still, this date has an interesting high-grade story because PCGS describes the 1988 D as a particularly difficult coin to find in MS67 condition. So stay with me, because by the end of this video you will know exactly what this coin is, what it is made from, what the D means, what errors to look for, and what a realistic value could be. Identifying the coin. The coin shown here is a United States Washington quarter dated 1988, with a D mint mark indicating production at the Denver Mint. The denomination is 25 cents, and this is part of the long-running Washington quarter series. The obverse features the left-facing portrait of George Washington, with the words "Liberty" above the portrait. The inscription, "In God We Trust," appears on the lower left side of the obverse, exactly as we can see in the photograph. The date 1988 is positioned along the bottom of the obverse beneath Washington's portrait. The small letter D is the mint mark and identifies Denver as the minting facility. The reverse shows the American eagle with its wings spread, surrounded by the inscriptions "United States of America" and "E Pluribus Unum." The words "quarter dollar" appear at the bottom of the reverse design. The coin has a reeded edge, which means the edge contains many small vertical grooves rather than being completely smooth. PCGS lists the standard 1988 D quarter as PCGS coin 5925, designed by John Flanagan, with a diameter of 24.30 millimeters and a standard weight of 5.67 grams. The Denver Mint and the huge mintage. The letter D is extremely important because it tells us where this particular quarter was produced. The D mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, one of the major United States mint facilities responsible for producing circulating coins. In 1988, Denver produced an enormous number of Washington quarters for everyday commerce. The recorded mintage for the 1988 D Washington quarter is 596,810,688 coins, which is a very large production figure. For comparison, the Philadelphia Mint produced 562,052,000 regular 1988 quarters, while San Francisco produced 3,262,948 proof quarters. This means the 1988 D is definitely not rare simply because it has a D mint mark. There were hundreds of millions of them produced, and many entered circulation throughout the United States. That is why finding a normal worn 1988 D quarter today is not especially unusual. The interesting part begins when we talk about condition, because large numbers were produced, but very few coins survived in truly exceptional grades. PCGS specifically notes that the 1988 D becomes difficult in the highest mint state grades, making superb examples much more interesting to advanced collectors. Metal composition, is it silver? Now we come to one of the most important facts about this coin, because many online videos incorrectly describe modern-looking Washington quarters as silver. The 1988 D Washington quarter is not a 90% silver quarter. It is a copper-nickel clad quarter, part of the post-1964 clad Washington quarter era. PCGS identifies the outer layers as 75% copper and 25% nickel over a pure copper center. Another way of describing the overall composition is approximately 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel by mass. The standard weight is 5.67 grams, and the diameter is 24.30 millimeters. This means you should not value the coin primarily for silver content, because there is no substantial silver bullion value in a normal 1988D quarter. If someone tells you that every 1988D Washington quarter is a valuable silver coin, that information is incorrect. The normal face value remains 25 cents, and any collector premium comes from condition, varieties, errors, or exceptional demand. So the real question for this particular coin is not how much silver is inside it, but rather, does this specific coin have an unusual variety or exceptional condition? Condition of the coin shown in the photos. Let us now talk about the actual specimen shown in the photographs rather than an imaginary perfect example. The obverse clearly shows circulation wear across Washington's hair, cheek, jaw, neck, and other raised design areas. There are also numerous marks and scratches visible across the fields and around the portrait. The reverse shows wear on the eagle and surrounding design, along with surface marks that are consistent with a circulated coin. Because of this visible wear, I would not describe this particular coin as mint state based only on these photographs. A professional grading service would need to examine the coin in person before assigning an official grade. From photographs alone, a precise grade such as VF, XF, or AU should only be treated as an estimate rather than a certification. The lighting, camera angle, focus, and surface reflections can make a coin appear better or worse than it really is. For the video, the safest description is that this appears to be a circulated 1988D Washington quarter with noticeable wear and surface marks. That distinction is extremely important because the spectacular prices sometimes shown online are normally associated with exceptionally high-grade certified examples, not ordinary circulated pieces. Is there a valuable error or double die? Now we reach the part that attracts the most attention on YouTube, the possibility of an error coin. A coin can become much more valuable when it has a genuine mint error or an officially recognized die variety. However, we should never call a coin a rare error simply because some letters look thick, damaged, doubled, or unusual in a photograph. True double dies have specific characteristics, and the doubling must be examined carefully under magnification. Machine doubling, die deterioration, scratches, contact marks, and lighting effects can easily be mistaken for genuine double die varieties. Looking at the photographs provided here, I do not see enough evidence to confidently identify this particular coin as a major double die error. I also would not claim that the visible surface marks automatically make it an error coin. If you want to investigate it further, examine the date, Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, mint mark, and major reverse lettering under a strong loop. You should also check the edge for unusual metal separation, clips, broad strikes, or other genuine striking abnormalities. The correct collector approach is simple. Possible error first, identification second, professional attribution before claiming a major premium. Why some 1988D quarters can be expensive. Here is where the story of the 1988D quarter becomes much more interesting. Although hundreds of millions were produced, exceptionally high-grade examples can be surprisingly difficult to locate. PCGS specifically describes the 1988D Washington quarter as one of the tougher dates to find in MS67 condition within the clad quarter series. PCGS reports that its condition census includes examples graded MS67, with MS66 examples also appearing below that level. The important lesson is that mintage does not automatically determine rarity in high grades. A coin can have a huge mintage and still become scarce when collectors demand nearly flawless examples decades later. The highest quality coins need strong luster, clean surfaces, excellent strike quality, and very few distracting marks. That is completely different from the coin in our photographs, which clearly shows circulation wear. PCGS records an auction result of $1,645 for an MS67 1988D quarter sold in 2017, showing how dramatically the price can change when condition reaches an elite level. So when you see a headline saying a 1988D quarter is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, remember that the grade and certification are absolutely critical. Realistic value of the coin in the photos. Now let us discuss the question almost every viewer wants answered. What is this particular 1988D quarter worth? For a normal circulated example like the coin shown here, The realistic value is generally close to its 25-cent face value, with only a modest collector premium possible depending on exact condition and buyer demand. Published value guides show circulated 1988D examples at relatively low prices compared with elite mint state pieces. CoinWorld's current guide, for example, lists the 1988D at around face value in lower circulated grades, with values rising as the grade improves. The same guide lists approximately $12.50 in MS65, $27.50 in MS66, and a much higher figure for MS67. PCGS also currently lists substantially higher guide values for certified high-grade 1988D coins, illustrating how strongly the market responds to top condition. These numbers should not be interpreted as a guaranteed selling price, because auction results, certification, IPO, and market demand can all change the final amount. For the coin in your photographs, I would not advertise it as a $500, $1,000, or $4,000 coin without professional evidence. A responsible YouTube presentation should say that the pictured circulated example is primarily a face value coin unless a genuine error or unusual variety is discovered. That honest approach will make your video much more credible than simply repeating an exaggerated viral price claim. What collectors should check before selling? Before anyone spends money on grading or puts this coin up for sale, there are several things that should be checked carefully. First, confirm the date and make sure the coin is really 1988, because nearby dates can look surprisingly similar when worn. Second, confirm the D-Mint mark and make sure it is part of the original design rather than damage or alteration. Third, inspect the coin with magnification for genuine doubling on the lettering and numbers. Fourth, examine the edge carefully for unusual clips, splits, laminations, or other manufacturing abnormalities. Fifth, compare the coin with known photographs of recognized 1988 Washington quarter varieties rather than relying on social media claims. Sixth, never clean the coin before evaluation, because harsh cleaning can permanently reduce collector appeal and may interfere with professional grading. Seventh, if you believe you have a significant error, consider getting an opinion from a reputable professional or a major grading service. Finally, remember that a coin does not become valuable merely because somebody online calls it rare. Rarity must be supported by evidence, attribution, condition, or documented market demand. These steps can prevent collectors from throwing away an ordinary coin or, just as importantly, from accidentally selling a genuinely interesting coin for far less than it deserves. Final verdict and YouTube closing. So, after examining the photographs and checking the published specifications and market information, our final verdict is clear. This is a genuine-looking 1988D Washington quarter from the Denver Mint, with a reported mintage of 596,810,688 pieces. It is a copper-nickel clad quarter, not a regular 90% silver Washington quarter. The coin shown has visible circulation wear, so it should not be compared directly with spectacular MS67 auction examples. The 1988D becomes particularly interesting in very high grades, and PCGS identifies the issue as difficult in MS67 condition. A famous high-grade auction result reached $1,645, but that result belongs to a professionally graded MS67 example and should not be applied to the worn coin shown here. Based on the photographs, there is also not enough evidence to confidently declare a major double die or other valuable mint error. The best reason to keep checking this coin is that careful collectors know that condition and genuine varieties can change the story dramatically. If you found this quarter in your pocket, collection, or an old coin jar, do not clean it, do not scratch it, and do not trust an exaggerated viral price without verification. And if you enjoyed this investigation, make sure you subscribe to Old Coins Explorer, because we will keep searching for old coins, rare varieties, mint errors, and the real stories behind the coins that people often overlook.